The Minister for Regional Development.
Speaker, I move that a bill for an act to provide for the operation of the Royalties for Regions Fund and to establish the Western Australian Regional Development Trust and for related purposes be introduced and read a first time, and I present a copy of the bill and explanatory memorandum.
Members, the question is the bill be now read for the first time. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
All in the contrary, no. I believe the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Mr Speaker.
A bill for an act to provide for the operation of the Royalties for Regions Fund and to establish the West Australian Regional Development Trust and for related purposes.
Mr Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Members, the question is the bill be now read a second. Sorry, no.
I can just read.
Proceed, Minister.
Thank you. Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce the Royalties for Regions Bill 2009. The purpose of the bill is to provide a legislative base for the operation of the Royalties for Regions Fund, which has already been established administratively. It will also establish the Western Australian Regional Development Trust that will provide independent advice on the allocation of money from the fund. The Royalties for Regions policy was central to the formation of the present government. The policy reflects strong public sentiment in the regions that governments of today and tomorrow need to increase investment in those areas. The Royalties for Regions program is designed to help regional communities grow and prosper through promotion of local decision-making and to attract the resources and investment needed to support the development of country Western Australia. One way of doing this is to ensure that a portion of the wealth generated in the regions stays in the regions. This will place a new focus on people living in regional Western Australia and will allow the significant benefits that Western Australia receives from the mining and petroleum industries to be reinvested in the future of regional communities. This view is also shared by many in the metropolitan area who empathise with the regions, whether it be through some business or family connection or simply through an understanding of the difficulties country people face because of a lack or decline in services and infrastructure. The central and simple principle behind the legislation is that every person in Western Australia should be entitled to basic services and infrastructure no matter where they live. Schools, hospitals, government services, recreation and sporting facilities, as well as the ability to develop business and economic prosperity. But this legislation is not just about structural development. It is about people being encouraged to live and grow within their communities, to bring up families without having to move to cities for education or health, to become a long-term resident and to drive and plan the future of their own community. In broad terms, the objective of the bill is to promote and facilitate economic, business and social development in regional Western Australia. That is, through the operation of the fund and its subsidiary accounts, it is hoped to 1. Build capacity in communities, 2. Retain benefits in local communities, 3. Improve services to achieve equity with metropolitan communities, 4. Attain sustainability, 5. Expand opportunity, and 6. Grow prosperity. The bill provides that for each financial year an amount equal to 25% of the forecast mining and petroleum royalty income is to be credited to the Royalties for Regions Fund. It also provides for any income derived from the investment of money standing to the credit of the fund and for money from other sources such as the Commonwealth to be credited to the fund. However, the bill limits to $1 billion the money that may stand to the credit of the fund at any time. The Royalties for Regions Fund will consist of the following programs: the Country Local Government Fund, the Regional Community Services Fund and the Regional Infrastructure and Headworks Fund, and any other account determined from time to time with ministerial approval. The fund will hold significant public funds and a statutory body is required to provide oversight in the management of those funds. Accordingly, this bill provides for the establishment of the Western Australian Regional Development Trust, which will provide me with independent and impartial advice on the allocation of monies from the Royalties for Regions Fund to each of the subsidiary accounts. The Trust will also advise and make recommendations on the purposes for which the funds are to be used and on any other matter relating to the operation of the fund. The Trust is also required to report annually to Parliament on its activities. The bill provides for the department responsible for assisting the Trust to provide the Trust with such services and facilities as are necessary to enable it to perform its functions. In undertaking this role, the Department of Regional Development and Land will, as the accountable authority, monitor and report on any disbursements and expenditure in accordance with its obligations. The Department will also be required to include in its annual report information and the operation of the fund during the financial year. Local decision-making and the delivery of this initiative will be fundamental to its implementation. For this reason, membership of the Trust will consist of a chairperson of a Regional Development Commission and between 3 and 5 other people with regional knowledge and experience necessary to enable the Trust to perform its functions. While the term of office of a chairperson of a Regional Development Commission will be 12 months, that for other members will be 3 years. This will provide people with fresh ideas and different perspectives the opportunity to become members of the Trust and contribute to the social and economic development of regional areas. This legislation will affect all communities in regional Western Australia, including all local government areas covered by the 9 Regional Development Commissions. Its impact will be positive and far-reaching and bring a newfound sense of purpose. Royalties for Regions policy has delivered a program that allows communities to plan for sustainable social and economic opportunities into the future, and the Royalties for Regions Bill 2009 provides a legislative framework for the ongoing investment into these regional communities. I seek the support of members of the House to expedite the passage of the bill. I commend the bill to the House.